The acting chair stunt double.
All right, don't
So-
let the power go to your head.
Yeah. So welcome to the Longmont Museum Advisory Board meeting, Wednesday, November 15th. I called this meeting to order at 4:30. Welcome all. A roll call.
I've got it.
All right. Public invited to be heard, sir.
Thank you for having me. I was aware of this meeting because of a lady that I went to the art and SIP classes downstairs. And one of the ladies, we started talking and she told me that she was gonna be here today, so I don't see her right now. I forgot her first name though. And she told me about this and she told me how can I come here and talk to you guys. So here I am. So first, I'm David. And I'm a member of the museum, by the way. My family is. And I'm also part of the Northern Colorado Caledonia Pipe Band. You guys probably, that's a mouthful, by the way. That's just pretty much short for, I'm part of a pipe band that we practice here in Longmont. Every Sundays we give free lessons for piping. You know, piping is just the Highland bagpipes. You guys know.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Scottish.
Yeah, Scottish and Irish heritage. And we also give drum lessons. And right now, there's a church in Hoover and 14th, around that area, that they host our rehearsals and lessons every Sundays at 4 o'clock. So my vision, I became part of the pipe band about a year ago. And I always thought that this place, the museum, would be so awesome if we can do those activities here. You know, teaching classes for free to the community, by the way, and doing rehearsals. And part of that would be, you know, we could give also like a big show once a year. You guys are aware of what Burns Night is? Burns Night? You know what it is? Okay, so we could host like a Burns Night dinner. It could be a big thing that we can promote. I can also see that maybe one, you know how you guys have exhibitions in and out every 6 months or so? We could have an exhibition that is about Scottish and Irish heritage. And you know, Estes Park, every year, they host like big Highland games. And we can get them involved as well here. So me being part of the pipe band, I can see the pipe band growing with this kind of setting, because it would give us exposure, it would give us, you know, more reach to the community. And we volunteer for teaching, you know, we want to promote the arts. So I am here today just to tell you guys about this, but if you guys would entertain us to make a proposal. So I am not one of the leaders of the band. I would have to get them involved in making a proposal if you guys were interested in hearing about this. Because I did not know at first glance, I did not know if this was a feasible thing to do. You know, how open was this, if it's even possible, or if you guys would entertain the idea. If you guys are, great. I would like to make a nice proposal with the leaders of the band and present to you guys like what do we need, you know, how can we give back, and how can we make this happen, pretty much. And that's all.
How many people in the band?
Over 20 something. I don't know, like not shy of 25.
And you all play together?
Yes, we were gonna do the Longmont parade, the Halloween parade, but it got so cold that morning that our instruments they don't do well in the with the cold. Our reeds, you know, we have a reed instrument. They just get shut down, so we cannot blow into the reed when it's that cold. So we have to cancel last minute. But if you go to the Highland Games, you can catch us there. You know, Estes Park. But anyways, I do not know. Here I am, right? Requesting this, but all I want to do is like, if there's a follow-up, first of all, if there could be a follow-up to this conversation, who would that person be with? And then if we can set up like a meeting, you know, if that's the case, then how do we set the meeting? It could be something next year or something, but the thing is I want to get something going if there's a possibility. If there's none, then we can just shut it down.
Okay, very good. David, did we get your contact information, phone number, email? Could you provide us
We'll
that?
scribble that down for me, that'd be great.
Yes.
Well, I like the idea, I think it's great.
Yeah.
Oh, it's exciting.
Our spaces are, they are available for rent. So we don't typically do, free use by the community because we have to be equitable in the community. So if that's
It would be nice to
something-
know how much it would cost to rent out, let's say, if it's not free, then how much is it? And then if we can do some kind of
Well, he's offering classes. free
yeah,
classes.
exactly. There's a few things to consider too, right? Like this. So if it's rent, if it's gonna be like maybe half rent or a fourth rent or something, and then we can maybe do some kind of fundraising to pay for this. Because we are a non-profit organization, just like you guys are. So, and it's more to promote, I don't know, the arts, the arts, music and heritage. So,
Yeah,
you might
certainly glad to get your contact info and get you in touch with folks that schedule our spaces and get you the rental information and all that.
Yeah, the thing is, I can tell you, because we have free space right now, which is a church. If there's rent, the leaders are gonna be like, why pay rent? I can see the potential of, I would pay the rent if there's means to collect funds, right? I know right now you guys are shooting to raise like a lot of money, and you're getting closer. But I believe some of the leaders in the band, they're just like, well, why get all this, like, we're fine where we at. I don't see it that way. I see it that I want to grow it. Right now, there's a generation of pipers that are above 60. We need to fill in the next generation of pipers coming in. And that's where the classes come in. We want to bring that generation of pipers and drummers, kids. For the kids. Yes.
Thank you, David.
I appreciate you guys having me. So, is it okay? Should I stick around, or
Well,
is it
you're
okay
welcome to stick around.
Welcome to
This
stick
is-
around.
Yes, you
Either
can.
way.
So,
Well, I would just like to say, if he's offering classes, if they're offering classes free, then you might want to consider that as an equitable bargain for the space in exchange for free classes to
Yeah.
the community. It seems like a good bargain.
Stick around, you might actually end up on this board.
oh my God.
Montgomery, that's a Scottish name from the Highlands.
That's so great. So, thank you for hearing me out. I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys again. And yeah, maybe one day I'll become part of the board. I don't know how that goes up.
Well, there's two vacancies.
I live right
vacancies
there.
right
I
now.
live right there. I live like 5 minutes away that way.
Hey.
Well,
Part
part
of
of
the
the board, two
We just
vacancies.
segue right in
Huh?
Two vacancies.
and get you in.
So
there.
maybe I see what this is all about. And
Talk to
then-
Joanne about
Yeah.
how to, if you want to apply, talk to Joanne about how
Yeah.
to apply.
So thank you. I'm gonna ask for approval of the September minutes, September 20th. Do I have a motion to approve? Any changes to the minutes as reported? Did you get a chance to look those over? I had none.
Second on that?
We did, we got it.
Either Bruce seconded, Bruce.
Yeah. All right, and then I will ask for a motion to approve the October meeting, which was a non-event. Did we have to move,
We do.
we have to, yes. So, yeah, so-
All right.
There's Linda, and I will second that. And, there's no changes to it, so, thank you.
Do we want to technically vote on each one?
Yes, we could do that. Did you want to vote on the September report. Approved. Okay, and the October non-report? Approved. Okay,
Thank you.
technically done. Accessions.
All right, here we go. These are the 4 donations that we are considering for the collection this month. This collection of papers were found in the walls of 1136th Avenue. The most interesting, I think, is a booklet called The Rocky Mountain Lyceum that was published in 1895, and it's an interesting advertisement of sorts of speakers and musicians and performers that came through Longmont and the Front Range area in 1895 to 1896. It was pretty fun. There's also a milk bottle cardboard cap, not just the ring, which is actually kind of a find for Shelley's Dairy in Longmont. So those are those, and there are a few more vaguely indecipherable letters that we will ask the volunteer.
What are the letters about?
That's an excellent question. Yeah, they many of them have to and a from, but I was not able to read them through. We will work on that through the.
Do you know how to read script?
Slowly, and
You weren't taught how to write script.
I was taught how to write.
Well,
Does not mean
congratulations.
that I can read that particular script.
Yeah.
And it was one of those fun letters where they ran out of paper, so she turned the paper and
In sideways.
so yeah,
Writing.
finding the beginning and the middle and the end is a little bit of a challenge.
You know why it was hidden in the walls?
Lots of times papers, especially like a lyceum like this, were added to walls for heat, for insulation. And so if you had scrap paper around and you had a drafty wall.
Well, they didn't rip them up, they just preserved, they just stuck
So
them in their
lyceum
own-
in particular is pretty water damaged and torn up, but so it could have been either. But it does, there's nothing salacious particularly in the letters, so they're not like a trove of love letters or something that somebody's hiding, so, but you don't know, maybe.
The Lyceum, how many pages is that?
It's a decent sized booklet, I would say probably about 20 pages or so. And most of them have photographs, like the cover, this is the cover, of the speaker, where they were traveling from. It seemed like a publication that was put on by like an agent who was representing the group.
Are the letters dated?
They are,
What?
I don't remember, I'm sorry.
Not in 19th century or early 20th century?
Yeah, early 20th century for sure. But yeah, I'd have to look back on the actual dates. So yes, somebody was renovating on 6th Avenue and found a batch of.
Re-insulating.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Cutting expenses. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'll do all 4 and then we'll do them. Ann Denny is a frequent donor. She did a oral history interview of sorts with Dorothy Doherty and her son Doug. The Dohertys own and operate the Doherty Museum on 287, and the audio cassette is a recording of the interview, and also it's kind of like she carried a tape recorder around the summer open house event that they had in 1995 at the Doherty Museum, which has a number of farm equipment and tractors and large machinery in the building. that Mr. Doherty collected.
Lots of cars, guns, pianos.
It's
Pretty interesting place.
It's a little bit of everything. So it's an interesting snapshot of the Doherty family, and Dorothy and Doug. This is the quilt that is on display downstairs. This quilt was made in 2014, a year after the 2013 flood, by Boulder County residents commemorating the flood and commemorating the restoration projects. It's hung in a Boulder County building atrium since 2014. And we were interested in having it in the display downstairs in Kaiser Seat. And we're hoping to accession it after the display. Oh, and it came, sorry, and then the photograph on the left is a book that was produced that explains each quilt square. So each quilt square was made by a different quilter and has a corresponding page in the book that talks about why the design was picked and who the quilters were.
Should make postcards out of that
Oh, that's not a good
and
idea.
sell them, yeah.
It's very colorful, I like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Mhm.
And it has, meaning.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very local and very, yeah, and it would be interesting to do certain squares have different stories about,
Right.
yeah. So that's a keeper. These are two photographs of Dakin ancestors, Albert Dakin and Jesse Stanton Dakin. We are asking to accession digital scans of these photographs, so not the image that I took. The originals will be returned to the donor, Mr. Dakin. The Dakin family Albert and Jesse lived in Longmont in the 1920s and 30s, and raised their children.
Where in Longmont?
Excellent question. He had a hardware store?
Jesse was the librarian in Longmont, librarian in Longmont.
That's right.
Albert was a lawyer who actually worked in Lyons a good bit. Yeah, I'm trying to remember where the house was.
And Jesse was at Stanton, which is the Stantons were big down here. Their family went on to have a photography business in Greeley, their son. So, good addition to the collection of early Longmont family. And that's all for it. Anybody have any questions other than dates that I don't remember?
Do you have the rights to the images?
Ooh,
So if someone wanted to copy it, they would have the right to do that, or you would have the right to do that?
About getting we've got language for living photographers where we can share, they retain rights, but we also have rights to, use
that's a good point. So the donor is their great grandson, maybe only grandson.
grandson.
And he is an active photographer up in Estes Park here. And so that's a good point.
Is the magnetic media, the cassette tape, is that transcribed to any other media, or is it just in this format?
Anne included a transcription, that's that paper
Oh,
document that's
perfect.
photographed. But I agree that we should get the audio off of the cassette before it falls apart. And then we would digitize it and we do have a small digital collection here which is where the scans would go to of the photographs that are on the cloud, and there's backup and another backup.
I have a question. All this donated media, is it accessible to the public?
We have a large collection, and a lot of it is available on our website through a database portal. So you can do research specifically, or most successfully, I think, with the historic photographs. So the Deacon scans would be quick and easy to get up.
So
But people can visit the archives.
Also,
physically, to look
yeah.
at the physical.
Yeah, why not check it out? I'm a software developer. That's my profession. I do the piping as a hobby, but I would like to see this program because I love history, and I think I would do another proposal in the future. If I don't like this program, I want to make it better. But we'll see first.
We are always looking for volunteers. If you'd like to get started, we can start cataloging, take a look at the program too.
Yeah, we'll definitely want to take a look at it.
Yeah.
Do we vote on the sessions as a group or individually
As a group.
as a group? Do I have any further discussion regarding those?
Well, on the transcript, again, do you have the rights to those, so people can quote from it without?
There aren't the same, yes, there's not the same,
I mean,
concerns
oral
about
history has its own.
Yeah. I
So
don't
the
know that
audio-
Ann did a release form on that one, so.
in the 90s. So the audio would be,
Is she still alive?
She is,
You just get
but
a
I don't think
simple,
Dorothy is.
yeah.
you just get a simple statement. Or if you don't have a formal release document, maybe that's something.
We do currently, if Eric or I were to
You
do
just
an audio.
send her informal email, say, do you mind if
Do you
we?
mind if I use this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, do you mind if the museum can make this,
Yeah.
publicly
Yeah,
accessible? to
and I'm sure
everyone?
that was her
And-
intention
Yeah,
of
of course,
donating it,
yes.
but yeah.
Exactly.
But having
So you just have it. You just have it. That's all.
Other comments?
To a motion.
Oh, does someone wish to make a motion to acquire these accessions? Bruce,
Yes.
second by Linda. All in favor? Unanimously. Very good. We'll move on to reports, report of the director.
Okay, well, you have the full written report. I will hit a few highlights. Under administration, if you want, after our meeting is done, you can check out our new office area, which is just about done in what was our old textile storage area. If any of you saw that room, you won't recognize it now. It really is looking nice. And that will allow us to move 7 staff members over into that area and make it so that we're not all doubled up on cubicles in here, which is how we are at the moment.
Is that the timeout section of the museum?
And there is a little room that's like, yeah, this will be perfect for timeout.
Quarantine.
Under exhibits, I will just mention our 2 upcoming exhibits. Picturing the West will open up January 26th, 2024. Black and white 19th century photography. And one thing that makes it unusual, so it's a traveling exhibit. Normally, with traveling exhibits, we bring them in, put them up on the wall, don't really do much. But when we were first looking at this exhibit, it was pointed out that all of the photographers in the exhibit are white males. And we started thinking about, well, I'm guessing there were other photographers operating in the 19th century, and one of our museum assistants, as well as Eileen, have worked to find examples of photography by women, people of color, and so we are adding that in a sort of interior section of the gallery we're calling Reframing the West. So you'll see the full exhibit as the traveling exhibit with very well-known names, and then these lesser known but still really powerful images from other 19th century and 20th century photographers. Then coming up in the summer, we are bringing back one of our most popular exhibits ever, our Lego exhibit from 10 years ago. This year we're calling it Build, Design, and Create with Lego. That'll open up June 1st. And it will have both Lego creations created by local Lego builders who are real artists in their own right, as well as a lot of hands-on activities geared kind of around engineering on this one. So building with bridges, building the tallest tower, and seeing how it can survive an earthquake and things like that. So we're hoping this will be a great sort of introduction to hands-on kids exhibits again at the museum as we prepare to open up our children's gallery with our expansions. Very excited about that. We'll skip down to education. I will just mention Day of the Dead. We had another huge success with our Day of the Dead exhibit and celebration. The event day on October 14th, 5,411 people in downtown Longmont. That same day, 500 visitors here at the museum, and almost 300 riding the trolley back and forth. The exhibit of altars was up for a month in our atrium. Don't have final numbers on how many people visited that, but certainly well over 1,000 came to that. So always a great event. This was our 23rd year of doing Day of the Dead. Under collections, I will highlight that we have hired a new curator of history, Elizabeth Bodwin. She'll start next Monday. So she'll be replacing me as curator of history and working to develop and diversify our collections. Really one of the things I want to make sure that we do is have our collection represent the full breadth of Longmont's diversity. And then the last thing I think I will highlight is under our capital campaign and development. So as of 11/6, we had raised 6,559. We've raised about another 5,000 over the last week or so. So we are slowly but surely getting there. And had some big news last night. The Stewart Family Foundation, which has already committed a $5 million pledge, has now said on top of that, they will match all donations given to our capital campaign through the end of the year, up to a total of $100,000. So it's a great opportunity. If you haven't given to the capital campaign, one of the things that, as we're talking to foundations, they ask, has your entire board supported the campaign? We were just meeting with the Gates Family Foundation a few weeks ago, and they asked that. And so, it's really important that, if at all possible, it doesn't have to be a large contribution, but if every board member can make a contribution, and now that will be matched dollar for dollar by the Stewart Family Foundation. So, great news on that front. That the campaign is moving ahead. I think is where I will leave off on highlights, but if anyone has any questions about anything I talked about or any of the other things in the director's report.
I have a question. Under capital campaign, it says that we raised $6,559,425. Is that a typo?
No, that is correct.
That is correct.
Sorry,
Okay.
If I said another number, I misspoke. So we're now at
Wonderful.
$6,563,275 as of when I checked on the computer for this meeting.
Very good. Other questions? Board? Hearing none, there's no report from the chair, is there? Is something sent in? So we'll move on to unfinished business.
I don't believe we have any unfinished business.
Well,
Move on to new business.
all right, then we'll move on to new business.
All right. So the main item under new business is our 2024-2029 strategic plan. This plan was developed by museum leadership team working with the assistant city manager, Sandy Cedar. We had basically a day-long retreat where Sandy, who has done this for groups throughout the city, took us through a whole process to develop a strategic plan. So we did a lot of putting things up on the board about basically what she posed to us was, it's 5 years from now, 2029. The plan is complete. What are you talking about at the end of year party? And those are the kind of things that then we turned into the goals that we have in this document. So we have 6 different sections within the document. And then under each section, we have a series of kind of the long-term 5-year goals with the heading in 2029. And then below that, we have immediate action steps. So these were elements that then, toward the end of the day, we looked at everything we'd come up with and we started talking about these are the things we want to address first. These were the highest priorities. And our thought is that this plan will certainly evolve. We will be regularly revisiting it as a museum staff, and probably will be bringing back annual updates to this board, how it's going. I also want to note that right now it's kind of in a just text form, not that exciting. Our plan is once it is adopted, then we'll turn it over to Jared and Breck, or designers, and have it designed with some cool graphics and things like that. So it's really something we can be handing out to funders and showing, this is a plan that's very much tied in with the broader city goals, and also very much thinking about our next 5 years are strongly going to be focused on expanding and then living into that expansion. And that's what a lot of the things that we're talking about in this strategic plan.
So is the museum considering managing the Callahan House and the visitor center at the Sandstone Ranch?
Those are currently under recreation, and recreation and the museum are both under the same division, which is headed up by Jeff Friesner. And Jeff was at our strategic planning meeting, and he was the one that raised those. He said, it's something we needed to discuss. We need to decide really as a department, does it make sense for those to be under recreation or under the museum?
Do you get staff with that?
That's some discussions we would have to have in terms of, can the museum support those? Do we have the capacity? Is there funding that comes along with that?
You need staff.
Right now, Callahan House is largely self-funded. It's a rental space. And so it's the one that probably makes the most sense because we are a rental space, they are a rental space. It's, a historic house with a whole lot of history that we've worked very closely with.
Does that have a
with
staff?
our board. There's one staff member.
Just one person?
Yeah.
And there's a board.
And then there's also
There's a board, and they raise money?
Not so much money, but it's the income from rentals.
Rental space.
So it's
Well, how do they maintain,
weddings.
the, by rental fees? They maintain the facility?
Well,
then
there's
grants.
grants.
Yeah.
They write a lot of grants for that.
So this one person writes grants and,
Or sometimes I
think
think
there's-
Rec
yeah,
wrote the last.
Yeah, I thought there was another person involved.
But they're the kind of grants that we've written in the past, to say historical fund grants. So, it's certainly a discussion we need to have with recreation. But it was one of the things that Jeff felt like this is a discussion we need to have.
you should take it with, one or two staff that he can give you. One person is, a little overburdened. So, I'll take it with a couple of staff. Give me a couple of staff. Something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
It's a bargain, you're bargaining, so.
Mhm.
Same thing with the visitor center.
Yeah, and that one's further away, a little bit harder to connect to. It's been a challenging facility, I think, for the city to try and figure out. If you're not familiar with it, it's on Highway 119, and it is adjacent to some of the ball fields, but actually kind of hard to get to the Sandstone Ranch ball fields and so forth. So it's currently open very limited hours, mostly in the summer. So that one is, I think, a more of a challenge for us to take on, to do anything more with it than Rec can.
What's the land swap
So
in the parking lot?
for at least 10 years. So right now, the city owns a narrow strip of land going all the way to Main Street along Quail. It's about a 50-foot wide strip of land that came with the donation of the land that became the Quail campus. And then a private developer owns the land next to it that actually comes just about almost to the edge of our parking lot. It's maybe 15 feet or so from our parking lot.
Wow.
So for a long time, there's been discussion about the developer would have a lot more use of that corner at Main and Quail. And we would really like to have a little more breathing room to expand our parking lot. Developers have come with plans and even probably about 10 years ago presented to this board and said, oh yes, going forward, won't be long now, you'll see this. And the city basically requires, as part of that development, that land swap happens. So the developer would get some of that land at the corner of Main and Quail. We would get, the city would get land adjacent to the existing parking lot. It has not ever come to fruition, and so that's something we don't really control, but it's just one of those things that hopefully in the next 5 years it will happen. And
Well, it sounds like a very successful program.
It's really outside of,
Developers at bay. Well done. Well done.
so it's outside of our control to some extent, but it was in the list of things we thought in 5 years it would be great to have that done, be able to expand our. Other questions?
I have a question. Under the growing audience, I was struck by this. Historically excluded groups have a sense of ownership in the museum. Do you want to speak to that? Who those?
So there's a lot of different terminology, what people might have once called minorities. And the sense now is that term is kind of a derogatory term in some ways.
Yes.
Sort of sense. So we use historically excluded to kind of call out that groups like Latinos and blacks and so forth have at times been excluded by our culture.
Okay.
So that is what that means. It's kind of a very broad umbrella term.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Doesn't mean that the museum has ever excluded them necessarily, but our broader culture has.
That includes the Scottish,
Yeah.
the bagpipers,
Pipers.
yes.
I'm not Scottish though, I'm Puerto Rican.
Other questions regarding the strategic plan? There's
How,
oh, go ahead.
how set in stone is the 5-year plan? I mean, 5-year plans,
It's,
yes, I know, it's aspirational.
right.
Yeah.
It is, I think the last plan, by the time we actually got the thing adopted and through everything, we were 2 years into it, and it seemed like we had a year to finish it, so
Right.
we wanted to give ourselves a little more leeway of
Yeah.
putting that.
It's sort of on the line of the Envision Longmont.
Mhm.
Yes, we're just setting goals.
So if the board is willing, I would ask if you'd be moved to adopt it, so we can move ahead and then have it, as officially adopted plan.
I'll make the motion to adopt the strategic plan as outlined.
Vote.
All in favor?
All 4 of us.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Who's gonna be the next that drops off the cliff?
Very close.
So,
Congratulations.
So is there discussion about hybrid meetings?
so this came up, I think, in some email exchanges over the last month, since we had to cancel the October meeting due to lack of quorum, whether there would be more attendance if we had hybrid meetings. I will say, having attended other boards that have had hybrid meetings, I personally don't find them to be all that effective from the standpoint of the person who is not in the room. It's just difficult for them to contribute. We have this, fancy new owl
Yes,
camera,
yeah.
which helps, but it's still hard for someone who is not in a room to really understand the flow of things. But, it was raised, didn't want to get a sense of whether the board feels like that's the direction we want to go.
I'm not in favor of them
No, I'm not
personally.
in favor of them, no, not unless we have to go back to the code thing.
Right. Oh, okay.
I mean, if you can't make the effort to show up. then-
Yeah, and I think, so, that was an exchange that I had with you and Tom. And so, our library advisory board does use the hybrid. I think the setup of the room plays a role, because I'm a teacher, so I taught hybrid for a year and a half.
And
It
you
was
survived.
painful, and
And
I
you
did survive.
Yes.
Yeah, half my class in front of me and the other half online.
That
And
was-
trauma. I was like, I'm triggered right now. So anyways, I've sat on both. So there's been situations where I've had to join virtually. And you're right, it is a little challenging. We have one member who, for the time being, cannot join us personally. So we made that accommodation to include her online. So that was the only reason why I brought that up. So in the event if we have somebody who does, we recently lost somebody because of health concerns. But if it opens up that opportunity for people to participate, but they might be homebound, that it builds that, that accessibility piece.
We can be flexible about that.
So, that was the only reason why I mentioned that, and then it allows us to keep quorum.
Mhm.
But
What,
That was why I
what's the number for the minimum required to have a meeting? What's the minimum?
Right now, we have 7 board members, so a minimum is 4.
oh, so this is, yeah.
Yeah, we just made it.
We just made it.
Do we need a vote on that, or we just wanted to?
I think I wanted to see what the board's sense was, and obviously, we can certainly revisit it if a member is not,
Yeah.
able to attend, for health reasons. And that does, make me think, if after the meeting, I will grab a card. I think you all got the email from Dale Bernard.
Dale, yes.
Has resigned for health reasons. And if folks are willing to sign a card for her, that would be nice. She's been on the board quite a long time. Very, very active.
I wanna be in the board, what do I need to do?
When is, yeah, you know what?
You are,
I will let you know, they'll start recruiting for, in the new year. So I'll get you all those dates.
Thank you.
All those recruitment
Because
dates.
that's what we
And it's-
struggle with, is
Yeah.
trying
What
to
is
find
what is the
people.
purpose of the board? Just to give, what is the main purpose of the board?
So they are an advisory board to the museum and to city
City
council.
council, yeah.
So for the museum, they are the one who are authorized, as you saw in this meeting, to approve all donations to the museum collection. They also approve major policy documents like our strategic plan.
What is the qualification, what are the qualifications of a board member?
Let's see, you need to be a registered voter and within the city of Longmont. So you have to live within the city and be a registered voter.
I already checked, that's easy. Boom, I
Alright.
I've been 4 years in here.
We're the power center.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I am very interested if it's a possibility for me to do whatever it takes to get on
Would be
the.
awesome.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
We need that.
We've been
Yeah,
looking for diverse
enthusiasm.
membership,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you would fit the bit, you do fit the bill.
But I am very ambitious though.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to push my own agenda. I mean, not my own agenda, but like an
That's all right.
agenda.
No.
That's okay.
Yes.
That's all right.
We may get some
No. I get contagious with this stuff, right? So I love this. So
Good.
I wanna be a part of it.
Yeah. We're not puppets of Eric.
Who was the person?
Millions.
They said something about one person, I know Dale, and one pending, what was that all about?
Yeah.
Katie McDonald has also, she will not be able to attend the next 3 meetings. And her term is then up in June. So she has said, you know, if it makes sense that she would be.
Is she the chair?
No. Callie Cordova is the chair. So I'd like to meet with Katie and just talk with her a little bit more about that. But we may, you know, it may make sense for her to move on as well. Unfortunately, she's still very involved in other aspects of the museum. She's on the capital campaign committee.
I think at some point, if it's not included in the strategic plan, it's too late because we voted on it. But I really think at some point in the future, whenever, you need a digital archivist. I mean, these days,
A digital one?
a digital archivist, someone who can collect digital historical media of all sorts, whether it's, outdated, floppy disks, you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That needs to be preserved and transferred and everything else. I think that would be a real interesting addition that you could put that position to use in all kinds of ways, digital curation and digital exhibits, and all kinds of stuff.
Yes, we have. There's one very large digital collection that We really haven't tapped at all times calls,
Mm.
photo archive
Oh,
from,
yes, yes,
what is
yes,
it, about
yes.
2005 to 2010
Yeah.
or whenever.
And if you collect the media photographers now, it's all,
Mhm.
it's all digital now.
They-
Everything's all digital, so you need a digital,
Mhm.
anyway. I think I was saying that when I was on the board before a decade ago, but, there's lots of things that.
Would that then be part of the collections committee?
Probably, yeah, that's.
So you have to really think about hiring somebody.
We have a lot of challenges in the next few years as far as, making sure that our expansion is staffed,
Yeah.
we're gonna hire more exhibit staff, front desk and a lot of things, so, one thing that is on the strategic plan is prioritizing staff, and so that's going to be a conversation that we'll be having in the coming months, is, looking at all of our staff needs and starting to prioritize and then making the case, for those both to city council and also, finding hopefully ways to be able to generate more earned revenue and thus, higher staff that way.
December meetings?
So traditionally, this board has canceled the December advisory board meeting since it usually falls fairly close to Christmas time. So unless there's folks that are really raring to have a meeting on December 20th, I know we're usually pretty short-handed on that meeting anyway.
I will be out of town in January,
No,
so I just wanted to put that out there. I'm glad to be here in December.
Well, you can show up in December.
I could.
The rest of us won't.
Okay. Do we need a vote on the December
So
meeting?
we would need to vote whether to cancel the meeting or
Yeah,
if
yeah.
we continue to have it, then.
All right, I'll open that to the floor.
I move that we cancel the December.
You have a second. Third, I'll make it unanimous.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Comments from board members?
I think I said it.
Hearing none, I will make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you. Well
Do I have a
done.
second?
Is that a second, Bruce?
Yes, second.
All
Well
right.
done.
Go grab a card and sign that for Dale.
Yeah.
We're gonna go check out your new